how do I get back to sleep?
So let me explain. So if you remember, I was talking earlier, your core body temperature rises, and hits a peak around 10:30 at night. Once your core body temperature drops, it's a signal to your brain to release melatonin. Melatonin is the key that starts the engine for sleep, so you're good to go. Now your core body temperature continues to drop. At some point in time, the internal furnace has got to kick into gear. Otherwise, you go hypothermic and you die. Okay? Guess what time that usually is?
2 a.m., 3 a.m.?
Exactly. Between 1 and 3, every human on earth, every one of you guys, every one of you wakes up sometime between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay? But here's what happens. Most people roll over, they fart, they burp, and they go back to sleep, right? But there's a group of people, and this is not the case. And those people are having a really rough ride, right? And then this is not, again, uncommon. This is the most popular question that I get asked. So let's break it down for those folks who are stuck in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. Step number 1, don't pee. Now, you might be saying to yourself, wait a second, Michael.
Yeah, I'm already up. Why wouldn't I?
That's why.
So I don't have to go get up again.
No. So the main metric that nobody knows is in order to enter into a state of unconsciousness, you need a heart rate of 60 or below.
Makes
okay.
sense.
So what do you think happens to your heart rate when you go from a lying position to a seated position to a standing position and you walk across the room?
You're jumping up.
Your heart rate is already through the roof. So if you don't actually have to pee, don't go pee. Now, I want to be clear. If you think like the flood is coming, please get up, get your ass up and go to the bathroom. But here's what happens is 74% of people are side sleepers. And when you're a side sleeper, you have a tendency to kind of curl up almost into the fetal position.
Putting pressure on your bladder, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you wake up? If all you do is roll to your back and count to 10 and breathe, you may be very surprised that you don't need to pee. If you don't need to pee, don't get up and pee because you're just making your life more difficult. Number 2, don't look at the clock.
Ugh.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the problem. As soon as you look at the clock, you instantly do the mental math, and now you're pissed, right? And your heart rate goes up. Shit, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Here I am again. Sleep. And you try to force yourself to sleep. Chase, in the history of time, nobody has been able to force themselves to sleep.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. Your energy is not going in the right direction. When you're forcing, your energy is going up. We need you to transition your energy down. Okay? Don't look at the fucking clock if you possibly cannot look at the clock. Now, here's what happens is people say, well, I have to have my phone next to my bed in case my kid calls. And when I wake up in the middle of the night, I just look at the phone and I don't even mean to. Bullshit. Okay? Here's the first thing. When's the last time your kid called in the middle of the night?
Yeah. Really,
Never.
Yeah.
Never. And I'm not suggesting that you put the phone in a different part of the house. I'm just saying put it across the room. Stick it in your bathroom. Okay? Like you can still hear it. I can assure you. And then you don't have that, that reaction where you grab it and then all of a sudden you've looked at the time. Because once you've seen the time, you can't stop the calculation. You can't stop the calculation. Okay, so you haven't peed and you haven't looked at the clock. But to be fair, I'm not so stupid. Like everybody pees and everybody looks at the clock. So now you're back in bed. The only goal that you have is to get your heart rate down. But here's what happens. My wife calls it monkey mind. You just start thinking, oh, I wonder what I'm doing tomorrow. I've got on the schedule. Oh, I forgot to do this today.
You don't even really try. It just kind of naturally happens.
Just starts going. Starts going and going and going. So I have a technique that works like a charm that everybody should do. It's called 4-7-8 breathing. Want to be clear? I did not come up with 4-7-8 breathing. A really smart guy named Dr. Andrew Weil came up with it, and he did it supposedly for the Navy SEALs. So supposedly when Navy SEALs are shooting downrange, if your heart's beating too fast, you can change the trajectory of the bullet. So he had to do this 4-7-8 breathing to drop them down to a heart rate of 60 or below so they could fire in between heartbeats. 60 is our magic number, so we're happy with that.
That's the way I'm former Army, so we were always trained, like basic rifle marksmanship. It's always exhale, pop, squeeze the trigger.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you've got to have you've got to have enough of a heartbeat.
It all comes down to breathing.
Exactly. Right. So does sleep. It's the same thing. Now, getting people to do 4-7-8 breathing, there's a couple of different factors to talk about there. So number 1, breathe in slowly for a count of 4 through your nose, hold for a count of 7, breathe out through your mouth for a count of 8. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't do it when I first tried it.
Yeah, it's kind
hard.
of prolonged.
Well, the push at the end is really hard. Yeah. The holding wasn't bad, but once I felt like, oh my God, I'm going to explode. That's not slowing my heart rate down.
Right, yeah.
So what I started with 4, 5, 6 breathing. So breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 5, push for a count of 6. Do that for 2 weeks, then move yourself to 4, 7, 8 breathing. So give yourself some time to get used to the process, okay? So that's number 1. Number 2, it takes between 15 and 20 cycles of 4, 7, 8 to drop your heart rate. It's not just gonna happen off of 2 or 3 cycles. So how do you count?
Yes.
Right. It became problematic for me. So I'm trying this. I try every technique that I ask my patients to try because sometimes I don't sleep either, right? And so here's what I discovered is if I make a light fist and keep it down by my sides, when I do one cycle, I stick out a finger. Then I do another cycle, I stick it. By the time I've done 10 cycles, then I walk myself backwards. I never make it back to 20.
Wow, interesting.
And I fall back asleep. And here's the best part.
Yeah.
Here's the best part. You're counting so you can't think.
Turns off the monkey mind.
It does.
Yeah.
So you're doing a hack. You're doing a double. You're distracting your brain and you're doing something to lower your heart rate both at the same time. This is incredibly powerful. And by the way, it's not called Ambien. It's called 4, 7, 8 breathing.
Good old breath work does wonders for so many things.
So let's say you've not gone to the bathroom. You did look at the clock. Now you're doing your 4, 7, 8 breathing. You've gone through your 20 cycles. You're still not asleep. What do? Well, you have to assess yourself at this point and decide, am I getting pissed off or am I still pretty chill? If you're getting pissed off, get out of bed.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because look, at the end of the day, if you're just getting angry with yourself, you're certainly not going to let your heart rate go down. However, what I want you to do is I want you to have a spot in the house that's already designated for this particular issue. You've got a chair, you've got a lamp next to it, you've got a book there waiting for you in case this happens. So you get out of your bed, you go right to your spot, you relax, you read quietly, and when your eyelids start to get heavy, now you can come back into bed.
Okay.
Or go to the guest room. Some people find that if they just change rooms because their bed partner was snoring or there's a bulldog in the bed or what, I have 2 bulldogs in my bed, so that's why I say that. So again, understand where your environment will allow you to go, right? Okay, I left, I came back, I did my 4, 7, 8 again, Michael, and I'm still not sleeping. What do? So there's something called non-sleep deep rest. That's also known as yoga nidra. Okay. Yeah. So lying in a corpse pose in bed while it's quiet and dark, it turns out it's rejuvenative. It's not as good as sleep, but you do that for an hour, it's worth like 20 minutes of sleep.
Is it something about the position of the hands? Like why?
I don't know if it's the position of the hands. I think you can put your hands down by your sides, but I've always done it like this.
So for those not watching the video, kind of bringing your arms up across your chest, like crisscross.
Yeah, it's called a corpse pose.
Right, yeah.
Right? But that's what I usually tell my patients to do. And again, if you can just sit there and relax, the natural sleep process will take over and allow you to fall back asleep, right? Now, the final step in this entire process is called acceptance, okay? To be clear, you've been here before. You were probably here last night and your head didn't fucking pop off and the world didn't come to an end, right?
But we can't process it. Don't think that in the moment.
But you can over time, is you can remind yourself over time, oh, I'm here again. I was listening to Chase and that weird sleep guy, and he said, you know what? If you just chill and relax, you're probably doing yourself some good. And so as you do that and as you accept it, it becomes less important. And as it becomes less important, your heart rate goes down. It's all about your heart rate.